All right, this review will be for the Logitech Tablet Keyboard. Logitech makes a couple of different keyboards, or at least two, this and the Zag. We'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to let you guys know that Logitech makes an Android compatible version of this keyboard as well, so I'm assuming a lot of the strengths that and weaknesses that I'm going to mention about this should translate to Android as well. So here is the keyboard itself in the case. The first thing to note is the top of the keyboard does stick out of the case. It's got this teardrop design at the top here. A lot of people, I think, even people I spoke with, seem to think that a lot of the pictures of this being pulled out were kind of showing it removed, and that the entire keyboard does sit down in the case. It does not, but there's no problems there. It's not going to stay in on its own accord real well, but I don't find problems with that really either. So let's go ahead and take a look at the setup and functionality of the keyboard here. I'm going to pull this out and move the case to the side here. And as you can see, it's a pretty standard sized keyboard. Keys are nice normal size, very reminiscent of the Apple Bluetooth keyboard. And just for comparative purposes, I'm going to bring an Apple Bluetooth keyboard in. And as you can see, it's within about a 1/4 of an inch, the same diameter. And if I turn these to the side for you, see if I can grab both of these. You can see they're very similar in dimensions overall. The Apple is thicker at the top. The Logitech is thicker at the base, but nothing major here. The heights are almost identical. So I say that to say this: if you like the Apple keyboard size and you like the feel of the keys, then you're going to be right at home with the Logitech keyboard. The only thing that you're really going to be missing on this Logitech keyboard that you have up here is an escape key, which they have their own version of here, and the F function keys. Now you do have the FN function button that's similar to the Apple here that gives you access to some of these controls up here, but they've moved those down to the normal number keys, and we'll get those to them in a second. So I'm a huge fan of the Apple Bluetooth keyboard. I leave it paired with my Mac Pro all the time, so going and pairing with this was kind of a no-brainer. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now the first thing that I want to mention on the back is there's 5 rubber anti-skid bumpers. There's 4 in each corner, and then there's one kind of in the middle here, and that's going to keep it from sliding, which is a nice feature. It's going to keep it from, as you typing, getting away from you. All right, now let's take a look at the case. The case is kind of doubles as a sleeve. It's a hard shell. It's got kind of this leathery type of finish to the outside. It's very well done, very nice. And it's got these magnetic clasps, similar, I guess, to what the MacBook Pros have now, that keep the lid shut instead of the actual latch itself. So that kind of keeps it together, and then it just pops apart with just a little bit of tension. And the inside's lined with this aqua color felt. Got a little wave pattern to it, kind of nice. And you got this flip out tray here, and that's what we're going to talk about now, because when you use that in conjunction with this groove on the back side of the case, or actually the front side, this becomes a stand for your iPad. Now there is no rubber along the edges here to keep this kind of slick, but you do have little rubber pads right here, and when you put the iPad, let me grab the iPad here, in place, that weight of the iPad kind of locks it down, and it will still move if you push it, but you can see the vibration is caused by that rubber padding, so it does keep it in position fairly well. Now you can obviously orient this vertically or horizontally. I prefer the horizontal. It's just kind of reminiscent of a laptop. I've gotten used to the horizontal feel over the years of using various digital products. And but if you're typing a paper or something, you want to kind of read the full thing, you can feel free to put it in the vertical position as well. The other thing I want to talk about with regard to the stand here is this little tray right here. You have an additional pull-out tray which allows you to decline the angle of the screen. So if you are typing from more of an upright perspective, like you would on a laptop where you're more looking down at it, this gives you more of an angle of view. It keeps it from being so vertical. Now, of course, you can pair this and use your smart cover on your iPad, but the smart cover, if you're familiar with it, also gives you a very vertical orientation, and there's no way with the smart cover to orient like this. If you want to use the vertical orientation, then you're kind of out with the smart cover, but that's why this is built in. I prefer it this way. We're going to go ahead now and unlock the screen here, and as you can see, Bluetooth is on. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip the switch right here in the corner. That's how you turn it on. And touch the, I got to hit the connect button here on the back, I believe. Nope, it did connect. It connected right here. I guess I just wasn't patient enough. The first time out of the box, it connected. I haven't had to hit the connect button, but one time yet. I think it was coming off a pairing with another device, but you've got a connect toggle here on the back that you can use if you for some reason have an issue. I've had no issues yet, so it's connected right there. And what I'm going to do now is going to go ahead and jump over to Pages, because it's the built-in word processing application that you can get from Apple. One thing to note when you use it in this position is you do lose a little bit of that that clinginess from the rubber. It does slide a little bit more because the tension's not directly on those rubber pads, but I still find that, you know, since the keyboard's not attached to it, it's not going to move unless I bump it physically. So mention more on that in just a minute. So here it is, the screen, and the way I prefer to use it, a lot of people do. And as you can see, I can type, there's no problems, I can space. Another issue with using the built-in keyboard is you don't have the arrows. You have to tap and toggle around. If you want to do a spell check or change something, you could just use the arrows to bounce around on the screen, which is really helpful, having those arrows. But any other commands that you're familiar with in a normal application from an Apple product, like using Command A highlights everything, you can delete it. Command Z is undo. So a lot of those shortcuts, if you hit Command C, I'm just going to go ahead and enter down here and hit Command V. You can see the pasting works. All those shortcut commands do translate over from the normal iOS, or I'm sorry, the normal operating system on the desktop like Lion or what have you, over to this keyboard and the iOS on the iPad. So the communication's really effective. So keyboard functionality is great. The responsiveness of the keys is awesome. I actually like it slightly better than the Apple. I really do like it a lot. I also like that it's black because it keeps any potential dirt, grime from your fingers from getting all over the keys. I'm constantly having to clean my Apple one because it's white. But anyway, it's a personal preference, but I like it. So let's talk a little bit about the, I'm going to delete all this stuff, about the function keys up here. Holding down the FN button, this is very similar to using it on a normal Apple keypad. Holding down the function button here and pressing one of these numbered buttons at the top does bring up some other functionality. Let's look at the first one. If you want to bring up the virtual keyboard, which will not come up while you're typing with it identifying that the keyboard's attached, you just press Fn and 6 and that brings it up, and doing it again hides it. So if you needed to get to something on there, or if you wanted to move this out of the way for a little bit and do some navigating around on the screen and stuff, you can. Obviously, though, you're going to be using the keyboard that you purchased. So we're going to get rid of this. You also have this little flowery icon right here. This is very similar to the, let me lock this out, the flower icon you have at the home screen, which launches kind of your photo album and does your slideshow. You can access that here, so it'll work sort of like a screensaver. So if you press it Fn and 5, it starts to pull art from your photo album. So we'll get out of that. You can hit the button to get back, or just hit enter and it'll jump out. Works like a screensaver, so that's helpful if you wanted to get up and leave. You can also lock the screen, very similar to pressing the hold button where you hear the lock sound. If you have that activated, it goes back to the lock screen where you have to slide it. Pressing Fn and delete will lock it. Now, a cool feature is if you press the return button, it jumps back to where you were. But if you grab the iPad itself, it's locked, and you would need to unslide this right here to get back to where you were working. So a helpful feature if you're going to get up and leave your workstation or whatever, and you want to kind of hide what you're working on, you have access to do that. And then you have the iTunes reference here. This is for play, fast forward, rewind, and your volume control. Now, I don't keep a lot of music in my iPad. In fact, I only put music in here to demonstrate the functionality of this. But if you do like to listen to music while you're working, where I could see a lot of people doing that, especially college students like to listen to their music when they work on projects or whatever, pressing the Fn button and 8 plays where you left off. So I'm going to pause this. If it doesn't give you quick access to a playlist or anything, wherever your last play head was, the cursor in that song is where it'll pick up. Now you can fast forward. by holding the fast forward button down. I don't know if you can hear that. And then rewinding is the same way. Or you can jump to the next track by tapping it. Okay. And then of course you could turn the volume up, which is all the way up now, or down. You can mute, unmute, and then I'm going to go ahead and pause this. So you could see quick reference to the iTunes library, songs. It plays a lot like the function controls on the Apple keyboard and the laptops. You have that shortcut feature. So to wrap things up real quick, I wanted to compare this to the other keyboards out there, which I'll move this out of the way real quick, that Logitech makes one that's designed with zag, and basically what it does is it's aluminum case, it fits over the top, and for convenience and for size, it's ideal. It's the same size as the iPad, only adds a little bit of thickness. It's got a brushed aluminum coat. The problem is, because the brushed aluminum is kind of attractive, there's no rubber gripping. So as you type on a slick surface, you'll find, I'm obviously just illustrating it here, but you may find that the whole system pushes. The other drawback of that system is you can't change any type of the degree to the screen. It's put in that wedge where it is, and there's no divide. And what I mean by that is some people like to push their stuff further away, okay, and have the keyboard back here, or maybe tilt at an angle, or put the keypad in their lap and type that way. If you get the all-in-one, you're really isolated to this sort of environment right here, and it can track around, it can move, and you don't get the flexibility that you get with a two-part setup. I also found that the keyboard's really cramped, the Zag one. If you keep your hands inside here, I felt cramped. The lip on the edge, though not sharp, does have a high protrusion. So I just felt cramped. The keys are a lot smaller, so it's not for everyone. It's also more expensive. It runs about $90, whereas this runs about $70. So as we wrap up this review here, $70. Now give your local Best Buy a shot, because I actually found mine with a $20 instant savings, which made it $50, which at the time I purchased it was cheaper than anywhere I could find it online. And tax and shipping are about gonna negate each other out anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this off here and put it back in its case. Again, just slide this in, unattach it like this, flip this in. Now you could close this and slide it in. I like to just place it. Gives you an idea of how it fits in there, and then shut that back up. So again, a very nice keyboard. If you like the Apple, or if you're familiar with any other Apple keyboards, you're really going to like the Logitech. It is a little bit weighty, but I find that that's going to be a better build feature, and that it's going to match up with my iPad for a long period of time. It doesn't add much weight to the overall package at all. And I can mess with my iPad the way I normally want to, and then if I want to type something extensive, I do a lot of press releases, I can do so with the keyboard here instead of using the virtual, which sometimes can be slow without having an actual physical response from the keys. So I hope you found that helpful. Again, it should work the same with Android, but if you're in the market for a normal size keyboard to pair with your iPad, I highly recommend the Logitech Tablet Keyboard. Again, about $70 normal retail. I found it for $49 with a $20 instant savings at my local Best Buy. So I hope you find that helpful, and we'll catch you again next time.